Today, we consider a topic that is probably confronting for many of us. When you hear the words fats and oils, we immediately think of French fries, potato crisps, cheesy pizzas, onion rings, burgers and donuts. Foods that taste great and that we like to eat. But though they are tasty, we're often reminded that they really aren't good for our health. And that's because they tend to be high in calories, fat, salt, and are called refined carbs. The whole matter of fats and oils can be very confusing and raises some important questions. If fats and oils are said to be bad for you, why do we need fats and oils in our diet? Are there good and bad fats? What does the term saturated or unsaturated fats mean? And so, what's the truth about fats and oils in our diet? Well, we need some help to find these answers. So join me as we meet Dr. Delia McCabe, a nutritional neuroscientist whose research specialises in how the food we eat affects the way our brain functions. And in particular, we're going to look at the important topic of fats and oils. Are they good for us? And what effect do they have on our brains? Butter, fish oil, olive oil, palm oil, and cheese. These are the commonly used fats and oils in our diets. But are they good for us? And why is it necessary for our brains to have some fats and oils? Well, to help us unravel the mystery of what fats our brains need and which ones our brains don't need, we're going to ask an expert in nutritional neuroscience, Dr. Delia McCabe. Delia holds a PhD from Adelaide Medical School and is the author of 2 successful books. She has focused on nutrition for over 2 decades and has done the hard work for us, translating the vital information from the nutrition and neuroscience research into easy-to-understand facts for us. Delia, welcome to our program. We're delighted that you can join us today to share your latest research on fats and oils.
Thank you, Gary. I'm delighted to be here. This is a very important and it's actually a fun conversation.
So let's get to the very heart of our discussion. What are fats and oils?
Fats and oils are one of the 3 macronutrients that we need to consume. So there's protein, there are carbohydrates, and there are fats and oils. The biggest problem with fats and oils is their name, because instead of calling them by their technical name or their nutritional name, which is lipids, researchers call them fats. So people assume that they are exactly like the fat that we carry on our body, and that is not the case. Fats and oils have gotten a really bad rap because, let's face it, the researchers who researched them decades ago didn't actually understand them. It's the most complex topic in nutrition, which is why most people are fooled by fats and oils and why there's so many myths around them. The truth is, if you can't make certain fats in your body, and if you don't get another group of very important fats via your diet, you will be deficient in them and your brain will not function optimally. So if you want to feel great, think clearly, be able to focus and concentrate, remember things well, be in a good mood, lose weight and be your perfect weight, sleep really well, have a highly functioning metabolic system, keep your heart functioning well, and have loads of energy, you need the right fats in your diet.
Now, I thought, however, that fat was bad.
Well, this is why this is such a complex conversation, Gary, because most people don't have a history in biochemistry.
And that's me.
Well, that's why so many people have become confused. So let's really make it simple. We've got saturated fats, which are plant forms and animal forms.
Within saturated fats.
Yes, within that category.
2 divisions.
Yes, and within mono unsaturated fats, we have what most people think about is olive oil, and we've got pecan nuts, cashew nuts, macadamias, and so on. Then we've got polyunsaturated fats. And within that category, we've got omega-3 and omega-6. But the omega-3 fats are the ones that the brain craves and needs to function optimally.
So Delia, what do fats do for our body and brain?
Great question. Let's just think about it. All of our organs need to be insulated between each other and to protect us from the outside world. So we need fat to form an insulation layer, if you would think about it that way, between us and the external world. We also need it to help our body regulate our temperature. And there are a lot of other things that fats do in the body. But in the brain, they've got a very important role to play. And once again, let's just think about how our brain operates. You know, we live in this world and we're exposed to different situations and different information and different people all the time. And our brain has to be responding in a very flexible and malleable way. Very quickly, it needs to respond. Now, the fats that are used in the brain, and in the previous session, we spoke about 60% of the dry weight of the brain being made up of fat. That fat is very, very important to keep our neurons communicating well with each other and to keep the messengers, the neurotransmitters, working well so that they can communicate well with each other, the cells. The brain structure and its function rely very, very heavily on how the neurons work. And within each of those neurons, we need the right kinds of fats around the little organelles in the neuron and in the neuronal, what we call membrane. So if that membrane is made up of the right kinds of fats, guess what? The brain functions beautifully. Neurotransmitters work beautifully, the connections work, and we are able to focus and concentrate, learn, remember, and we also stay in a good mood. So these fats are critically important for brain function. But if it's a particular kind of fat, it stops the communication from working really well. But if it's a different kind of fat, it works extremely well. Something really important to keep in mind is that the brain is the greediest organ that we own. It really uses an enormous amount of energy, and it's very sophisticated and sensitive to what we consume. So we need to make sure that there are enough nutrients available for it to do all the things it needs to do. And we mentioned the neuronal membrane. It needs to be made of the right kinds of fat so that its structure works really well, so that it can communicate with its neighbors, with its fellow neurons really well. Then we need to make sure it's got enough energy because it's so energy hungry. And that energy is required 24/7. Even when you're sleeping, your brain is using energy. And you know, it has no place to store energy. You know, we store energy on our body as fat, but the brain needs a consistent and stable supply of that energy to keep functioning really well. And to be able to make the messengers, neurotransmitters, specific nutrients are required for their synthesis. So when our diet isn't full of these kinds of foods, for example, things like flax seeds, hemp seeds, chia seeds, things like walnuts, almonds, all of these contain wonderful fats that the brain actually craves and the brain needs to function optimally. You see, the wonderful thing about these foods, Gary, is that they don't just contain only one nutrient. They contain a whole lot of other nutrients. So we've got great fat in the walnuts, for example, but we've also got vitamin E, which is a potent antioxidant. Chia seeds contain great amounts of omega-3. Hemp seeds contain omega-3 and omega-6, and flax seeds are full of omega-3 as well. So all of those fats are really, really critical for brain function to be optimized. You see, the bottom line is, Gary, that it's the molecular structure of these fats that make them so potent and so critically important in the brain. The brain is the most energy-hungry organ, and it's also an organ that runs on electricity and chemicals. And these special fats and their specific membrane and molecular structure allows them to do that really important work. The brain is constantly assessing its environment. It's constantly assessing what it needs to do. And if it doesn't have these fats, that electricity and the chemicals, which we call neurochemical impulses, cannot function optimally. So I can show you what these fats look like. Yeah. And let's have some fun at the same time.
All right, that sounds good.
So let's have a look at a plant form of saturated fats. Now, just be honest and have a little taste and tell me what you think of that.
Not much. It's got no flavour. The texture feels good. It's got a nice texture, but I don't get any taste or any flavour from that.
Absolutely.
What is that?
Here we go. What that is the fat, the cacao butter taken out of chocolate.
Ah.
Now, this is chocolate that has that fat in it. But most of the chocolate on the market today, unfortunately, doesn't have this good fat in it anymore because skincare manufacturers discovered that this fat is very shelf stable and it also smells nice and it's got a good texture. So they went to the chocolate manufacturers and said, hey guys, we're going to pay you a premium if you take all of the cacao butter out of the chocolate and use something else instead of that. And we're going to use this for skincare products. So then the chocolate manufacturers had a bit of a challenge because
How are they going to replace it?
absolutely, and they needed to have a similar kind of a mouthfeel because without any
Similar
fat,
texture.
yeah, similar texture. So now they use damaged fats. And so most of the chocolate that we get today contains damaged fats. And that's a problem for us. But let's just have a look and see what else we have here. We've got some lovely olive oil. Now, olive oil is a monounsaturated fat. And the thing about olive oil that's so wonderful is that it's full of other really, really wonderful compounds too. So have a look at that beautiful color, Gary.
Yes,
Can you
yes,
see?
indeed.
It's full of chlorophyll, it's full of vitamin E, and it's really good for us. But it is a fat that the body can make, the same as the body can make saturated fats. So it's not critically important for us to consume olive oil for its fat content, but its other content, yes, absolutely important. But now when we get to polyunsaturated fats, it gets a little bit more complicated because here we've got chia seeds, we've got hemp seeds, and we've got flax seeds. Now have a look at flax seeds in particular. You will see that they're really, really hard. Can you see that?
Yes, I can.
They're really, really hard. And they're hard
Yes.
because
Now I can feel, yes.
they
yes.
are protecting the omega-3 in the seed. So the minute you crush that seed, and unfortunately, most of the products that people consume today have already crushed flax seeds, or the flaxseed oil has been damaged, then that delicate omega-3 starts degrading. And as far as chia seeds go, when people just consume chia seeds on their own, they're not getting any omega-3 because it basically just moves through your digestive system. You need to soak them, and I do that with coconut milk, and then I crush them in a smoothie and I get loads of omega-3 through that.
Can I just clarify this? So these three here, what fats come from these?
We get both omega-3 and omega-6
From the flax?
from the flax, yes. Hemp has got a very
Yes.
good balance of
Yes.
omega-3 and omega-6, and we get a lot of omega-3 from chia seeds.
So Delia, we've got our flax, we've got our hemp,
seeds,
we've
yes.
got our...
Chia seeds.
These are seeds that produce good fat for us. These are the fats we need and want.
Absolutely, they are superfood fats. But now we also have bad fats that are freely available in processed food and in this form.
So these are the fats we don't want.
These are the fats we
So
don't want.
where do they come from?
They
What's their
come-
origin?
They come from seeds that fall into the category of omega-6 polyunsaturated fats.
So give me some examples.
Cottonseed, sunflower seed, some sesame seed, all oils that we actually need. We actually need omega-6, but we don't need it in damaged form. So have a look at it. Not much color, okay?
Color's gone.
Color's gone, vitamin E is gone. Anything that stops it from being shelf stable will be removed from the manufacturers.
Okay.
They will take it out because they don't want their product to lose any money, because if it goes off, they've got to take everything out of it that makes it go rancid, and all the things that make it go rancid are actually good for us.
Now, something else that I noticed, just this comes in a glass bottle,
Yes.
but this fat here, this oil, doesn't.
No, and that's another great clue. Thank you for picking that out, because
So this is plastic.
this is plastic, and the
Yes.
chemicals in the plastic leach into the oil. And we don't want those chemicals in our body or in our brain. So that is a really good point, because something else, if we have a look at coconut fat as well, that comes in a dark glass bottle,
Yes.
and this is also a saturated fat. Just have a look at it. It's also beautiful.
Yes.
Okay? But it is different to these because this is more of a fat than an oil. So this whole conversation, Gary, is really, really complicated, but we can simplify it beautifully. If we focus on the seeds that contain both omega-3 and omega-6, we never ever touch anything that is either cooked in oil that comes out of plastic which means all processed foods, or use it to cook our foods in, will be great. Glass, organic, solid, in terms of what it looks like and in terms of where it comes from. Seeds, crush them just before you eat them. And then you make sure that you have a wonderful, wonderful mixture of the right kinds of fats. And, you know, if you want to eat more saturated fats, so say you want to eat more cheese and butter, which we don't have our examples here, but if you want to eat a bit more chocolate, then all you need to do is just move more, because saturated fats are a great source of energy. These fats are used for very, very important processes in the body and the brain. Specifically in the brain, because the brain needs to use energy and communicate very, very efficiently and very quickly. And these fats, because of their biochemical structure, allow that communication to happen really quickly, faultlessly, and they allow neurotransmitters to be synthesized from the end point of neurons. So that's axons to jump over the synaptic cleft. But that's sounding a little bit complicated, but let's not make it complicated. We just know these fats allow flexibility and malleability in the brain, and we want a lot of that.
So, Delia, we're talking here about the really good fats, the ones that we want, the fats and the oils. And they come from these seeds. So we've got the flaxseed, the hemp, the chia. We want the oils, the fats that come from them. But it takes a bit of time and effort, because we can't just consume the flax seeds as they are. They've got to be ground up, they've got to be fresh, etc. But it's important that we get them and take that time and effort and try to avoid the fats, the oil that is no good for us.
Especially if we just take as the cue, if it's in plastic, avoid it. If it's processed and it's got fat, avoid it. Because the food manufacturers only care about shelf life and making money. They don't care about the health that we need and the energy and the capability that these fats give our body and our brain to function optimally. If we just remember, avoid the fats that come in plastic and in highly refined and processed foods, we'll be eliminating most of the damaged fats. Then we have good fats in our home that we do not heat, so we don't fry with them. We also don't eat processed fast food either, because they're full of damaged fats. We need to respect fats and oils and eat loads of them to be optimally healthy. So it looks really complicated. And to tell you the truth, when I started investigating this many years ago, I actually made a chart for myself. And in the chart, I had saturated fats, the two categories. I had monounsaturated fats and I had polyunsaturated fats. And I made that chart look really good. And I've actually got it in my first book, because this is a very complicated subject and a lot of people get confused. But if we just remember, in whole form, they're great. If they're processed, they've got to be processed very, very carefully. We want to avoid anything in plastic. And we can enjoy lots of these if we move.
That's our olive oil.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And we put that in salad dressings. We enjoy healthy 70% dark chocolate, and we can enjoy coconut oil. And guess what? There's even something else that you can enjoy. And this is, I put the spoon in because this gets really, really quite sticky. This is coconut butter. And it is one of the most delicious and decadent things to consume, because it's got great mouthfeel, and funnily enough, it's even got great fiber. So Gary, there we go.
Oh, I actually taste this?
You actually taste that.
Now, let me just go over what it is. It's coconut butter.
Yes.
And so I'm going to, all right, have my taste. Interesting texture, interesting flavor. But tell me, with all these fats around, how do we know, Delia, whether or not we're getting enough good fat?
It's actually really easy to know if we aren't, because our skin will tell us immediately. You see, just to step back for a moment, these essential fats and other fats that are good are used in the body for a lot of different purposes. But the omega-3 and 6 fats are used for survival purposes, and that's our 4 primary organs of survival, and that's the brain, the heart, the adrenal glands, and the reproductive organs. So when we have enough of these fats and all of those organs are replete, that means they've got enough of them, then we have extra fats to find their way to our skin. Our skin isn't a survival organ, so it's not important that our skin looks great. So the first place to look at, if you think you may be deficient, is your skin, the heels of your feet. If you've got big cracks there, it means you're deficient. If your skin feels dry and you need to keep on adding moisturizer, another clear sign. And then, of course, we've got challenges with reproduction. We've got challenges with heart health and, of course, in the brain. So foggy thinking, a poor memory, sluggish focus and concentration, and an inability to learn really well. And, of course, we have mood as a challenge. All of those are symptoms as well of not getting enough of the right fats. But the real thing is just to have a look at your skin. If your skin is battling, you know you're definitely deficient in these fats.
So Delia, I find I'm deficient. What do I have to get?
Well, focus on these seeds firstly. Make sure that they're organic, make sure they've been kept cold, and then crush them and eat them fresh every single day. Or do what I do, soak the chia seeds in coconut milk and then just blend them in a smoothie. And then start watching your skin. It can take between 18 months to 3 years to get enough of those essential fats all the way to your skin cell membrane. So be patient, but keep on with it, because honestly, it's finding its way to every single cell that we have. And then the wonderful thing about these seeds is that they actually get changed into different compounds that the brain uses in a different, unique way. And that's a little bit more complicated. And a lot of people consume fish oil because they think that that's the only type of oil that we need, but it's definitely not. If we have a really superfood diet with all the nutrients we need and we consume these fats in this form, we actually are capable of making that really, really sophisticated DHA and EPA that people get from fish oil. But we make it in the way that the body's really happy to make because it knows how much to make. So yes, deficiency, focus on that. Have these in your salads. Enjoy this as a treat. Absolutely, but that is for deficiency exercises.
Delia, I've actually heard that eating the right fats can actually make you lose weight. Is there any truth to that?
Absolutely, there is. And once again, we're back to the right kinds of fats. You see, the body has a wonderful way of working. And when we eat the right fats, they stop genes that are coded for storing fat from being switched on. Okay, so that means you don't have those genes to tell your body, hey, let's store fat. And they also switch on the genes to improve your metabolism. So that means your metabolism works more quickly and you actually lose weight. The other thing that happens is that you actually end up being in a better mood. So your cravings disappear, which is another bonus. And of course, you are filling your whole body with all the right fats and oils, so you actually feel better. You feel that you have more energy, and so you don't feel sluggish. You want to move more. So there are all sorts of wonderful benefits from having the right fats, and yes, they do help you lose weight.
Looking at the good fats here, does it matter whether they are organic or not?
Yes, Gary, it does really matter because pesticides accumulate in fat. And as we've spoken about the brain being 60% dry weight fat, we don't want pesticides anywhere near that sensitive and sophisticated organ. So making sure that we choose organic oils, seeds, whatever oils we use is very, very important. And pesticides interfere with our endocrine system, which is our hormonal system, because after all, they were designed to do that to the pests. So avoiding pesticides from that perspective is also important.
Delia, it's been a pleasure to have you on our program today. Thanks so much for sharing your latest research with us. It's amazing information.
Thank you so much, Gary. It was an absolute delight.
Food is a wonderful gift from God. We use it to celebrate important occasions, to mourn a friend or loved one, to entertain, to give us energy, to share love, to show hospitality, and to care for others in tangible ways. We all need food. It's essential to our bodies and brains. And from the beginning of this world, God gave us the very best foods to eat, nutrient-rich plant foods. In Genesis chapter 1 and verse 29, God said, "Look, I have given you every seed-bearing plant throughout the earth and all the fruit trees for your food." If this was his original plan, then we would be wise to follow God's advice by eating plenty of plant-based foods or superfoods. That's fruits, veggies, nuts, seeds, whole grains and legumes, including the right fats. If we are wanting to honor God in our food and drink choices, then it will not only bring a change of heart, but it will also change our choices. So whether you eat or drink, whatever you do, Do it all to the glory of God. God made our bodies and our brains, and He provides the very best foods to keep them in tip-top condition. What if when we sat down to eat, we did it with a heart of gratitude for the plate of food we have, knowing that eating healthy food is the best way to care for the gift of the marvelous body God has given us? If you would like to find out more about how the fats and oils affect our brains and our ability to think and concentrate, then I'd like to recommend the free gift we have for all our incredible journey viewers today. It's the booklet, Busting Myths About Fats and Oils. This booklet will share with you the amazing insights about how fats and oils are good for our brain, and will also include some plant-based recipes for you to try. This booklet is our gift to you and is absolutely free. So make the most of this wonderful opportunity to receive this amazing gift today.
Phone or text 0436 333 555 in Australia or 020 422 2042 in New Zealand, or 770 800 0266 in the United States, or visit our website tij.tv, or simply scan the QR code on your screen and we'll send you today's free offer totally free of charge and with no obligation. You can also write to us at GPO Box 274 Sydney, New South Wales 2001, Australia, or PO Box 76673 Manukau, Auckland 2241, New Zealand, or PO Box 888717 Atlanta, Georgia 30356 USA. You can also email us at info@tij.tv. Don't delay. Call or text us now.
If you've enjoyed our journey into the world of nutritional neuroscience and how our brains need the right fats and oils to function well, then be sure to join us again next week when we will share another of life's journeys together. Until then, let's pray to the great God who provides the foods we need. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the bountiful foods you have created for us to eat. We thank you for providing for our needs, both physical and mental. Please bless us with good health and wise decisions. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.